Hi, we were just about to get started, so good timing.
Okay.
If you have blocks, they will probably come in handy. If you have something that can be used as a strap, that also might come in handy.
Okay.
Um,
No
and
blocks.
so we are going to get started. You can take your time to gather those things up if you need to. And I'm going to mute you all.
Okay.
We eliminate the echo that's happening. Okay. I'm going to come onto our mat if you're not there already, and come onto your back. You have a choice here. You may either start in Supta Baddha Konasana, where the soles of your feet come together and your knees fall out wide. This might be a place where you need some blocks under your thighs to help some grounding. If this feels like too much to open up your practice today, you can start with your soles of your feet flat on the ground, and then open up your feet as wide as the mat, and then let your knees fall to the center of your mat. This is a little bit more of a supportive shape. You can choose, and you can either switch between one and the other. If you start in Supta Baddha Konasana and feel like that's too much after a while, you can always change your shape to suit where you are in the moment. So find your shape, taking the time to wiggle and adjust and add props or take away props. And then as you settle and arrive on your mat, give your thinking brain a break. So all the things that your mind does with planning and rehashing, let all of that fall to the sides. Carve out this space on your mat to move and to breathe and to be present. All that stuff outside, it will be waiting for you after practice. But for now, let your space be free of all those external stimulations. Begin to center yourself, shutting down the eyes if they're not already shut. And bring more awareness to your breath. On your inhale, really embody the expansion that happens in the body, not just the rib cage, but all throughout the body. There's an expansion that happens on your in-breath. And then on your exhale, on your out-breath, feel the contraction and the centering that happens in your body. Inhale, expand. Exhale, contract and pull in. It's almost like an amoeba opening up on your inhale and exhaling, pulling it back in. This gentle dance between your in-breath and your out-breath. Using your breath to keep your mind and body connected and centered throughout your practice today. Deepening your breath little bits at a time, pulling in that oxygenated air all the way into the bottom of the lungs, and then exhaling out all of that carbon dioxide that's unneeded in the body. A couple moments of silence to settle. Begin to flutter open your eyes. And depending on the shape of your legs, bring your feet back together on the mat with your knees bent. Pull the knees into your chest, into a little bit of a tuck. Let your shoulders and head remain on the mat. And just giving the front of your body a little bit of compression here. The shoulders relax a little bit here as you give that tension on the knees to your chest. And now lift the head and chest, and you'll feel your low belly kind of engage. Stay with your hands on your knees or reach your arms out towards the front of your mat. So keeping that lift in the shoulders, we're just bringing in a little bit of heat, knowing that you can always go back to the hands on the knees. Nice big full inhales and exhales. Return your hands to your knees and then let your shoulders and head come gently down to the mat. Extend your left leg long. Keep your right knee in. Now see if you can hover that left leg, okay? Hovering it might bring an extra arch to the low back. So if that's the case, really pull in that belly button to spine action to lower the low back towards the mat. If this feels like too much, you can lower the left leg, okay? Just pulling in that right knee towards the chest here. And again, just a couple moments to be in this shape, letting go of tension in the jaw and the shoulders here. Now, if your left leg is hovering, go ahead and let it come down. And then bring your right knee, you can kind of let that compression out a little bit. Bring that right knee a little bit more to the right so you're pulling it in towards the outer rib cage, like your knee is being pulled towards your armpit. And again, let go of tension in the shoulders, tension in the jaw, let it go. And then again, pulling belly button into spine so that you've got that support and you're not overarching in the low back. We're going to come into sort of a half happy baby with the right leg. So that right sole of the foot is going to go up to the ceiling. You can grab the outer edge of the foot or your ankle, whatever you can get a hold of, whatever it is that you're getting a hold of, push down on that foot or ankle so that the knee continues to push down on the outside of the rib cage. If this feels like a lot of stretch here, then the left leg. Okay, make these shapes accessible for you. Listen to your body and breathe. Continuing to give pressure to the bottom of your foot. Releasing that hand now. Bring your right ankle to your left knee and your left leg is out long. So we've got this sort of long figure 4 stretch. Bring your hands to the mat, like 45 degrees out, okay, palms down, and give a little bit of pressure into those palms. On your inhale, lift your leg up. On your exhale, lower it down all the way to the ground nice and slowly, keeping that belly pulled in. All the way down and then back up on your inhale. Exhale, lower down. One more time like that. A little bit of heat here. Inhale up. Exhale down. And whether your left leg is straight or not, it really doesn't matter. All the way down. Now we're going to bend through that left leg. Okay. Thread the needle. Now this, depending on your flexibility, you might want a strap here. If you did a strap, you would just wrap it around your left hamstring. Otherwise, you're reaching around the left hamstring with your hands and coming into a figure 4 stretch here. This is for the outer right hip. Taking it slow. We're still early in our practice, so no need to really crank in hard on this unless you're really warmed up already. Give a good hard flex to the left foot so the left toes really pull up to the right, the right toes pull up to the right shin. And then stretch the tailbone down towards the ground. And then again, be mindful of what's happening in the shoulders and the jaw. And then reconnect to that expansive inhale and that contracting exhale. Slowly release the left leg long. Uncross the legs, bring the knees together, open the arms to a T, and let the knees fall to the left. If there's another version of a supine twist that you'd like, you can take it. So you can cross the right leg over the left and then come down. Just finding that ability to let go here a little bit, be grounded, and get the benefits of that spiral line twist. Maybe looking over the right fingers. And slowly coming back up to center. Uncrossing the legs if they are crossed, bringing the hands back to the side, and extending the right leg long now, and pulling the left knee into the chest. Pausing here, just feeling that compression. Let go of that knee just a little bit, enough to pull it out to the left a bit so that you can pull it more towards the side of the rib cage. And you can keep your leg on the ground or you can lift it. Just a reminder, if you're lifting it, really pull the belly button to the spine so that you're not overextending in the back. Continuing to give that knee a little pull towards the outside of the rib cage. Being mindful of your shoulders and jaw, and then using that expansive inhale and exhale, contraction. If that right leg is hovering, you can lower it down now, coming into that happy baby shape. So the left foot is gonna face up to the ceiling, grab the ankle or the outer edge of the foot and give that foot some pressure as the knee gets pulled down on the outside of the rib cage. And again, if this feels a lot here, bend that right knee. Tap into that breath. Continue to cultivate that presence on your mat. And then bending that right leg, sole flat on the foot. Actually, sorry, nope, keep it long. Not there yet. All right, the left ankle on the right knee, creating that extended figure four shape. Okay, hands are flat on the mat, out to about a 45-degree, giving some good pressure into the ground. Inhale, lift it up. And again, that right leg doesn't have to be straight. Exhale, slowly lower down, bringing your belly button to spine as you do so. And then inhale back up. And then exhale, slowly lower. Mindful of the shoulders and jaw. We have one more. Inhale, lift it up. And exhale, lower it down. Once you're down, bend that right knee, plant the right foot on the ground, thread the needle, figure four. So again, using a strap if needed, and then giving a nice hard flex to the left toes towards the shin, stretching the tailbone down to the ground, and just tapping into those breaths, finding expansion on the inhales, contraction on the exhales. And then slowly let your right foot come to the ground And find your supine twist. So if you uncrossed your legs and just let your knees fall, do that. If you crossed your legs and then twisted, do that. So settling into that supine twist, arms are open to a T. Maybe you're looking over the left arm. Again, finding any grounding that you need to underneath that, the knees with a block or a pillow. And then pulling those knees up to center, uncrossing if you crossed, and then rolling to your side. We're going to transition into a seated position, but pause here in this side lying position, kind of a fetal pose, fetal positioning. Feel the grounding underneath you, the connection of your body to the floor, to the earth underneath you. And I invite you here to create an intention for your practice. Bring your purpose onto the mat with you. And then slowly coming up into a comfortable seated position. I'm going to face you. If cross-legged is a lot to ask for you, have your feet out wide. You can also sit on something. So if you sit on something and scoot your sit bones right to the edge, sometimes that helps you sit on the ground with more ease and comfort. And a folded up towel would work perfectly for that. Okay. So settling now into this seated position, feeling nice and long through the spine, feeling grounded through the sit bones. Rest your hands wherever feels right for you and just close down your eyes for a moment. Arrive in this seated position. We have gravity now acting on us differently. Blink your eyes open. Inhale your arms up, look up. Watch them connect. Exhale down. Really embody the expansive. Again, inhale. And then the contracting exhale. 3 more with your breath. Your last one, we'll meet at heart center. Pausing here for a moment. Inhale your arms up, pause with them up. Bring your right hand down to the mat. Inhale, lift up, reach up. Exhale, side bend to the right. So this right hand is kind of your kickstand and you can inch it out. Attempt to keep your chest rotated up and not down. And then that right shoulder, try not to let it rise to your ear, pull it down your back. And then as you reach across your body to the right, keep that left sit bone anchored to the ground and really feel the separation of rib cage and hip bone. Inhale yourself back up to center. Take that right hand and place it right behind your right hip, fingertips pointed back. Inhale again, fully expansive. Exhale, twist, and bring your left hand to the outside of the right knee. And then begin to look over the right shoulder. Pull the shoulder blades down the back. Find a nice long spine, tailbone to crown of the head. Rotate from the belly button. And you can use a little bit of leverage on that hand to knee, but try to really use that musculature in the torso, the core muscles to keep that twist. And you can kind of keep yourself honest by taking the left hand away from the knee and seeing if you can maintain that twist. Couple more breaths here. Each inhale, commit to your long spine. On your exhale, maybe you twist a little bit more. On your next inhale, sweep both hands up as you untwist, look up. Watch your hands connect. Exhale down through heart center. Inhale back up. Pause with your hands up. Let your left hand come to the mat. Inhale, fully expansive, reach up, and as you exhale, lean to the left, side stretch. So again, that left hand can kind of inch its way out to help support your body. Keep your chest rotated up as much as possible. And then anchor your right sit bone and feel the separation of your rib cage and your hip bone. Inhale yourself back up to center. Take that left hand, put it right behind the left hip with the fingertips pointed back. Inhale fully, and then exhale, twist, bringing that right hand to the left knee. And adjusting that left hand as needed behind the hip. Really find that long spine from the tailbone to the crown of the head. Pull the shoulders down the back. Anchor that right sit bone as you twist left from the belly. And then again, you can kind of see how honest you're being about using the leverage on the left hand or left knee by taking it off. See if you can maintain that twist. Couple more breaths here. Each inhale, committing to your long spine. Each exhale, twisting a little bit more. On your next inhale, sweep both hands up as you slowly unwind. Look up. Watch your hands connect and exhale down through heart center. Release your hands to your knees. We're going to be coming into all fours, a tabletop position. So if you need any extra padding, you can double up your mat, grab a blanket. Okay, so we're facing the front of our mat. Take some time here to set yourself up. Okay, you want your hands underneath your shoulders and you want your knees underneath your hips. And then in this neutral spine position, I want you to think about your front body being pulled up to your back body. So we're not sinking down, we're pulling up and pushing away from the ground. Inhale fully, and then exhale, round the back. Tuck the tail and chin, cat pose. Inhale, cow pose, sagging the belly, broadening the chest, pushing the tail back. Exhale, cat. Inhale, cow. So using the expansiveness and the contraction of your inhales and exhales, articulating the spine and hips, connecting body and mind through movement using the breath. A couple more here. All right, settling into a neutral spine. Pull the belly button up into the spine and release the right leg straight back behind you, okay? Anchor the left hand into the ground and open up your hips so the inner arch of that right foot grounds down. And then open up the chest into a sort of modified side plank here. Okay, this takes a little bit of balance. Keep that belly pulled in. You can keep your arms in a T, or you can stretch that right hand up overhead so the bicep comes more towards the ear. Again, try to get that stacking of the shoulders, belly's pulled in. If you're reaching in front of you, bring it back to a T, and then anchor both feet or both hands to the ground, coming into a square hip. Now that right leg is going to come all the way out to the side, to the right. Ideally, the sole of your right foot is planted on the ground, okay? Now push that foot down into the ground and push your right hip down almost like towards your left knee. So you're getting that stretch through the inner thigh here. A little bend in the knee or softness through the knee if you need it. And then you can stay here in this stretch, or you can find a little dynamic. Exhale, pushing back into sort of a child's pose. Inhaling back up over the hands. So either moving your hips back and forth or finding stillness and stretch, either is fine. We have a couple more breaths here. One more breath. And then you're going to find that neutral spine. And that right foot now is going to swing up onto the outside of your right hand. So you're in a low lunge here with your back knee down. I want you to think about your right hip pulling back and your left hip pulling forward. Okay. Keep your left hand anchored. Inhale the right arm up. And then on your exhale, bring your elbow and reach it towards your right instep. How far you get it really doesn't matter. It's just finding that stretch. Inhale up. Exhale, elbow to the instep. We're going to do one more like that. Inhale up. Exhale, elbow to instep. And then pause here. Heel toe your foot so that it's in between your hands. Okay. And then inhale yourself up so that you're in a half kneeling position. Okay. Now in this position, again, I want you to think about right hip pulls back, left hip pushes forward, tailbone down, left glute's gonna squeeze. Inhale, lift your arms up, look up, maybe shift your weight forward. Exhale, sweep them down. Inhale up. Exhale down. One more time. Keep your belly pulled in so that you're not overarching in the low back. We're really just going after that hip flexor on the left foot, on the left leg, and down. One more time, up and stay up with the arms. You can't really see my arms, so listen carefully to the cues. Grab your left wrist with your right hand. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, lean to the right. So a little bit of a stretch here, a side stretch. Feeling that rib cage pull away from the hip. Inhale yourself back up to center. Inhale, expansive, lift up, look up. Exhale, bring your hands to the mat. Plant your hands, and then however it works for you, get that right foot back. Stay on your knees or lift to a high plank. So knees totally acceptable here, or up on the toes. Inhale fully. Exhale, shift your weight forward and slowly lower all the way to the mat. Inhale and tuck the toes, lift the chest into cobra, squeeze the glutes. Exhale as you come through, tabletop, tuck the toes, and find a downward facing dog. Now, if downward facing dog feels like too much for you, you can totally stay in tabletop or even a puppy dog pose, which is very much like downward facing dog. It's just a little more supportive. Just a couple breaths here in either tabletop, puppy dog, or downward facing dog. We have one more side to do. So let's now drop your knees if you were in down dog and set up your tabletop just as we did before with just as much care as placement. Moving through some cat-cow. So inhale fully. Exhale, cat. Inhale, cow. Again, just finding that articulation of the spine and hips. Using the breath to help move your body and stay centered. And then coming into stillness with the spine. Pull that low belly in. And extend the left leg, toes will touch the ground. Now open up the hips and ground the inner arch of that left foot, and then peel open the chest and stack the shoulders and hips. So we're kind of in this modified side plank. You can stretch your left arm up so the bicep is right nigh the ear. Pick a gazing point. Keep that belly pulled in, shoulders down the back. A little bit of balance work here. And then if your arm was reaching forward, bring it back up to a T And then square the shoulders to the mat and the hips. And then I'm gonna shift over just a little bit here. Bring that left leg out to the side. Sole of the foot is on the ground. I'm gonna switch around so you guys can see. There we go. Good, so my left foot is now flat on the ground, pushing down through that foot, and then taking that left hip and almost pushing it down like you're trying to, like at the angle towards your right knee. Okay, so that you should feel a pretty good stretch there. You can stay there or find some dynamic movement, exhaling, kind of coming down into a half child's pose, and then back up. A few breaths here. One more breath. And then settling into stillness at the top of your tabletop. And we're gonna bring that left foot now, however it works for you, bringing it to the outside of that left hand, okay? So again, we're kind of thinking about squaring the hips, pulling the belly in, shoulders down the back. Anchor that right hand into the ground. Inhale the left hand high. Exhale, elbow to instep. Inhale, open. Exhale, elbow to instep. We've got one more like that. Last exhale here. Good, before you put that left hand down, heel toe that left foot to the middle of the hands, and then inhale yourself up to center. Find your balance. If you find that you're wobbly here, make sure you've got a little bit of space between the front foot and the back knee. That'll give you a good base to work with. Good. So again, square up the hips. So the left hip pulls back, right hip's pulling forward, tailbone down, belly in, shoulders down the back. Inhale, raise your arms up, look up, feel that stretch in that right hip flexor. Exhale, come on down with the hands. Inhale, shift the weight forward, reach your hands up. As you begin to look up, maybe exhale, back down. One more time. Inhale, sweep your arms up. Exhale, come on down. This time we're gonna sweep our arms up and stay up. Grab your right wrist with your left hand. Inhale fully. Exhale as you lean to the left. As you lean to the left, the right hip is pushing out to the right. And again, you're finding that separation of rib cage and hip bone. Inhale back up to center. And exhale your hands all the way down to the mat. Get your left leg back. Either stay on your knees or tuck the toes. Find your plank position. Inhale fully. Exhale, shift the weight forward. Lower through a chaturanga all the way to the ground. Untuck the toes. Inhale, sweep the chest up. Tone the glutes. Exhale, come through tabletop. And either stay in tabletop, puppy dog, or downward facing dog. Couple breaths here. And then lower the knees to the ground. Bring the knees all the way together, untuck the toes in the back, and shift your hips back. Let the head come down. If the head does not touch the mat, a block or something that raises the ground to you could be helpful. And then stretch the hands back and maybe even grab your feet, your heels. And then take a couple of breaths here. Inhale all the way up, feel that expansiveness, and then sigh it out. Let it go and release. One more breath like that. Inhaling, finding that expansiveness, and then exhale all the way down. Reconnect, both to just cultivating your presence on the mat, but also your intention that you invited onto the mat with you today. And then releasing the hands long. And one more time coming up into tabletop. So you can Open up the knees to about hip width. Okay, so take this one slow. Okay, we're gonna take our right knee, actually take your left knee and take it into the middle of your mat. And then take your right knee and cross it over the left knee. You'll automatically kind of need to sit your hips back. Now walk your hands back and find your range here, right? This might be where it is for you. Maybe you can come all the way down. Your feet will kind of pull out to the side. And maybe you can sit all the way down. So cow facing legs here, stretch on both hips. And if you're still in this position, that's okay. As long as you can maintain this, there's no sharp pain. I want you to find the stretch, okay? And then if you're here all the way down with your hips, perhaps you find a folding from the hinging from the hips as you lean forward over your legs. So there's lots of versions and places to be here. If you're bent over your legs, come up tall with the torso, lean the hands forward, come into all fours, and uncross the legs. And then just one leg at a time, reach it out back behind you. One leg at a time, good. Okay. So now take the right leg and center it in on your mat. Take your left knee, cross it up and over. And automatically that kind of requires the hips to pull back. Pull the feet out wide as the mat, and then begin to walk the hands back as you start to sit down. So again, allow this side to be different, right? You might have more space in your hips on this side, or maybe you're tighter. I'm a little bit tighter on this side. So take it slow, settling into your range. Perhaps you have a little bit of room to hinge if you've come all the way down with the hips. And then if you're hinging here over the legs, come up tall with the torso, rock the body weight forward, and then uncross the legs. And then one more time, one leg out at a time, just to stretch it out long. All right, we've got one more here on our knees, and then we're gonna come to a seated position. Tuck your back toes and bring your knees and feet together. Shift your hips back. Now, I'm gonna tell you, this could be intense, okay? This is gonna stretch your toes and the back of your bottoms of your feet. Come up and sit on your heels. Take your pinky toe and kind of really make sure that it's tucked under with all the other toes. Squeeze the legs together, sit up tall. And just breathe here. Be in this moment, in the sensation, especially if it is intense for you. So if it's intense, be in that intensity. This is temporary, right? You have control to come out whenever you want. A couple more breaths here. And then now you can rock forward back into all fours, and then just take the feet and kind of hit them out a little bit on the mat. And then we're going to come into a seated position. So let the hips fall off to one side, sweep your legs around so that you're still facing the front of your mat. I'm going to face you guys. All right, stretching those feet out long, legs out long. Bring your right sole of your foot into your inner thigh. Okay. And if you want to sit on something, if sitting on something, a little bit of a lift helps you, set that up now, right? So that you can have that ability to sit nice and tall out of your pelvis and have a neutral spine. Okay, so I want you to take your left toes and point them up with some activity there in the leg. Kneecap, pull it up just a little bit. Okay, so that you've got some active muscles in your left leg. Actively also pull your right knee towards the mat. Inhale, arms sweep up, find that expansiveness, and then exhale, fold over that left foot. I want you to keep a long spine here. Now, it's very common to want to just round, and we will. But for now, each inhale, nice long spine, crown of the head all the way to the tail. And each exhale, find that contraction and maybe a little bit more of a folding. So each inhale, long spine. Each exhale, maybe you find a little bit more of a hinging action. Keeping that left leg active and the right knee pulling to the ground. You should feel this through the right hip, maybe into the low back on the right side. On your next exhale, now, if you'd like to, let the spine come into flexion. Let the head be heavy. Try not to lose the shape of the legs. And you can grab onto the leg or the foot or whatever you can. Next, inhale, walk yourself back up to an upright seated position. Bring your right sole of the foot to the mat and then bring it up and over the left leg. Okay. Inhale, you can bring the right hand right behind you on the right hip on the ground. Inhale, long spine. Exhale, give that knee a hug as you twist to the right. Now you can take that hand if you feel like you don't need it on the ground behind you and give your knee a double hug. And you can kind of think of just a little bit of self-love here, giving yourself a hug. So this is step one. If you'd like to take this twist further, you will need your hand back behind you on the mat. And you'll inhale that left hand up and then exhale. Use that contraction of the exhale as you twist and bring the left elbow to the outside of the right knee. Now again, you could use a lot of leverage on that knee with the elbow, but try to use your core muscles to keep that twist. So again, you could take that elbow away from the knee, see how much twist you can actually hold. Shoulders pull down the back, find the long spine, whatever shape that you are holding. I think for me, grabbing that knee on this side feels better. So feel free to change that shape if needed. We're going to slowly unwind, release that right leg long, and then maybe just bounce those knees out a little bit on either side. All right, switch sides. Left sole of the foot, inner thigh. Sitting nice and tall out of the pelvis with a neutral spine. Toes to the ceiling, kneecap up the leg, left knee pulling to the ground. Inhale your arms up, find that expansiveness. Exhale, forward fold again with a long spine. So we're going to take about 4 breaths. Prioritizing the long spine on the inhale. Exhale, maybe getting a little bit more fold. 1 breath at a time. Being in this moment, using your breath. 1 more breath with this long spine. And then on this next exhale, feel free to round through the back. Let your head be heavy. Forehead closer to the knee. And slowly coming upright with the torso. Left foot flat on the ground and then cross it over. Okay, left hand behind the left hip. Inhale fully. Exhale, grab that knee and hug it in tight. You don't need that left hand behind you. You can do a double armed hug across that right knee as you twist your chest to the left. And then again, if you're wanting to take this further, you would put your hand back on the mat. Inhale the right arm up and then exhale, elbow on the outside of the knee. Twisting from the belly, shoulders down the back, long spine. And then maybe looking over the left shoulder here. Find that nice long spine for the crown of the head, all the way down to the tailbone. slowly unwinding, letting that left leg come out long and maybe giving a little bit of a bounce. All right, bring those legs out to a wide leg. How wide? Really up to you. It doesn't matter how wide, just find a wider leg. Again, something under your sit bones can help that buoyancy through the upper body. Inhale your arms up. Exhale, forward fold. You can bring your hands to the mat to help kind of give you a little bit of support. Keep your feet active. So just like before, toes are pointed up. Kneecaps are kind of gently being pulled up my legs. So I've got some structure to my legs. And then as I hinge forward, I'm really thinking about leading with my belly so that my sit bones begin to rotate maybe a little bit more back behind me. Keep your spine long here for a few more breaths. Again, a block can come in handy here sometimes. You know, anytime you need the ground to be brought up to you, blocks are your friend. Now on your exhale, if you'd like to round through the back and let the head be heavy, just a couple breaths here. Keep those legs active. Now inhale yourself up halfway. Rotate your hands and your body to your right leg and exhale, fold. Now try to keep that left sit bone anchored, so really stretch it to the ground. If it comes off the ground, it's okay. Just create that action of trying to ground that left sit bone. And again, you'll feel that sort of opening of the rib cage away from the hip bone there. Inhale yourself up halfway. Walk your hands through center all the way to your other leg. Inhale and exhale. You can round through the back. Again, kind of finding that separation of rib cage and hip. Lifting up halfway on your inhale, walking your hands through center, and one more time, exhale, fold. Inhale, come on up. Bring the soles of your feet together, Baddha Konasana. Okay, so grab the ankles here, and that kind of gives you enough leverage to sort of think about pushing that belly forward and anchoring the sit bones on the ground. So this might be the shape that you work right now, just finding that ability to sit tall, pull the shoulders down the back, pull the belly in, and then actively pulling the knees towards the mat. You can stay here, or you can begin to hinge forward. Now again, with a long spine. So think about leading with that belly forward towards the feet. You can actively push the inner knees down towards the ground. You should, if you're leaning forward, you should feel your sit bones begin to rotate behind you. And slowly coming up. Keeping your knees bent and your feet flat on the ground. You can come down, we're gonna come down into on our back. Otherwise, you're gonna come down with me, just rolling down, trying to articulate one vertebrae down at a time, all the way back onto our mat. And taking a moment here to settle into this new positioning on our back. This is where we started our practice today. It's where we'll end it. Just tapping into your expansive inhales and your contracting exhales. Bring your feet out as wide as the mat. You can let your hands lay on the mat beside you. Or actually, I think opening them up might be a little bit better. So open them up to a 45. And then let your knees fall to one side and then the other. I want you to come through center here and then pause for a moment with your knees to the right. Now you'll notice that your left hip wants to pop up, and it's okay if it does, but again, what I want you to try is create that action of pulling the hip to the ground as your knees fall to the right. And then come up through center and do the same thing on the left. You're gonna pause here for a minute. My right hip kind of wants to come up. I'm gonna fight that a little bit by pulling it down to the mat. And then go back and forth, and you can decide how fast you're going, how slow, maybe you linger on each side. Couple breaths worth here. And then we started on the right, so let's make sure we end on the left. And here's my last one on the left. So meet me here with your knees back up into center. Bring your feet, pull them in close towards your sit bones. Let your arms stretch along your side. We're gonna do some pelvic tilts and then some bridges. Okay, so pelvic tilts. Right now in this neutral position, you'll probably feel your low back kind of arch up off the ground a little bit. So on your exhale, find that contraction and lower the low back to the ground. The belly braces, the rib cage knits in, the belly button pulls to the spine, and then inhale, let that neutral spine come back. So exhale, scoop the tailbone just up a little bit as your low back flattens to the ground. Feel that bracing and contraction through the core. Inhale, release. Just be mindful what's happening in the shoulders. Don't hold tension there. Exhale, come lighten the tailbone, pushing the low back to the ground. Inhale back. Okay, so we're gonna come into a bridge pose using that pelvic tilt. So exhale, push the low back to the ground, come lighten the tailbone, but this time the tailbone scoops up and the hips scoop up and then the spine rolls up, okay? So all the way at the top here, you're pushing your hips up. You should find some opening through the front of the body, some engagement through the back of the body. Create a long cervical spine. Make sure you're not holding too much tension in your shoulders. Maybe a little bit higher before we come down, articulating one vertebrae at a time. Really see if you can do it. It's one of my favorite things to do. It feels so good. All the way down to the tailbone. We're gonna do one more bridge with our pelvic tilt. Okay, so on your exhale, low back flattens, lift the hips, scoop them up. One vertebrae at a time comes up to the top. Make sure your knees don't flare out too much to the outside. Pull the knees in just a bit. And then think about those heels just ever so slightly being pulled towards your body. Okay, that'll ignite your hamstrings. And then slowly lower one vertebrae at a time. Again, trying to do it. Take some time and effort, consciousness, all the way to the tailbone. Good. All right, full baby. So come into like this squatting pattern on the ceiling and then grab shins, ankles, outer edge of the foot, inner edge of the foot, whatever suits your fancy. And then you're actively pulling your hands down into your feet so that the knees clear the rib cage on either side or towards that direction. Shoulders pull down the back. And then think about stretching the tailbone to the ground. It's okay if it doesn't come to the ground, just create that intention. And then staying in stillness here is great. If you'd like to have a little bit of rocking back and forth, sometimes that feels really good on the low back. Maybe you straighten a leg. And then the other leg. Couple more breaths here. And then bringing the soles of the feet together, lowering them to the ground, and finding Supta Baddha Konasana. Now, if you want, you can change the shape, just like we did in the beginning, to your feet out wide and your knees resting together. So either shape will work here. We're just using this as a transition into our final resting pose, Shavasana. Take this time to shut down the eyes. Let go of any control over the breath and just let that natural rhythm take over. And oftentimes, as we settle into stillness, this is when that thinking mind breaks through. You start planning your day or thinking about what happened this morning or yesterday. And that's okay. Notice it, pull your mind back, invite it back with love, and help yourself practice that art of meditation here. When you're ready, you can release one leg at a time, taking up as much room on the mat as you like. Settling into stillness here, stillness in the body, stillness in the mind, using that breath to anchor your mind to your body. When it wanders, inviting it back with love and acceptance. Shavasana. Very slowly start that transition of coming back up to the surface. And deepening your breath. Maybe inviting small movements, rolling out the wrists and ankles, maybe turning the head right and left. Full body stretch, bringing your legs together and reaching your arms overhead. Push the belly button up as you inhale expansively. And then roll to your side, using this as a transition place between our Shavasana and our seated position. Maybe just one more time, reconnecting to your purpose, your intention you set. Moment of gratitude. And then when you're ready, slowly coming up into a comfortable seated position, keeping your eye gaze low as you transition. And then once you've arrived in that position, that seated position, shutting the eyes down, bringing your hands to heart center. Lift your chest to meet your thumbs. Embody that proud chest. Bow your chin. And remember that the intention or the purpose that we bring onto the mat with us is a tool that we can also use as we leave our mat. So whatever intention that you created for yourself today, see if you can take that with you on your day as you move through the rest of your day and week. The highest light in me sees and honors and respects the highest light in each of you. Namaste.
Thank you so much for the class.
Oh, thank you for joining.